Hi, this is John Reed. It's good to be back. I took a week or two off from video shoots. Today I want to talk to you about Facebook yet again. I went on a pretty long rant on another video on why Facebook really blows for small businesses, but I felt the need to revisit that rant for a couple of reasons. I didn't want to come off as too dismissive of what Facebook can potentially accomplish, and I also did some due diligence, spoke with some more experts, attended another webinar on Facebook, and have some more information for you. Now, one of my beefs with Facebook for smaller businesses is that Facebook has really divided up the good functionality between personal pages, fan pages, and groups. And so, if you could really combine the best of all three, you'd really be onto something. But unfortunately, you can't. And the other problem is that I think Facebook is falling into a very tricky area in terms of how to combine business pursuits and personal pursuits on Facebook. Now, some people have figured out how to handle this better than others. For some, I think they're just a little more comfortable sharing kind of basic information, family pick here and there, and that works for them. Other people who might have more strange hobbies or more bizarre combinations of friends, or even just friends from different periods of their life, college, graduate school, what have you, who are interested in different things, they have a hard time working all that together. Now, you can adjust privacy settings so that certain people only see certain things. I find it a little bit complicated, but you can do that. Just to give you one example, I had a couple people who have had blowouts with clients on Facebook related to political things, so that's always awkward. Getting into an argument with your client about how they feel about the healthcare system is really maybe not the best conversation to have. And so I think that's one of the biggest problems with Facebook, is that there's this blurring of the lines, and yet it's not clear. And I think for me, I know that my personal activities on Facebook are really meant to be personal and are meant to connect with friends from previous parts of my life. And in my case, in the SAP field, they have no interest in what I'm doing in SAP, and they don't really want to talk about work while they're on Facebook anyway. So there's that. But then the other component to this has to do with the fact that I believe that one of the reasons Facebook doesn't put a lot of energy into fully developing fan page functionality is because their advertising functionality is actually fairly sophisticated. And I think they just want people to spend money on ads instead of using all the techniques that I like to use to share meaningful content and get a lot of user audience attention that way. They want you to do it in advertising. And the one thing I can tell you is I have run into people who've had a lot of success with Facebook advertising. Now, one of the reasons for that is you can target very, very specific demographics with Facebook ad, almost to the point that's a little bit scary. You kind of be like, hey, are you in your mid-30s and cooking with olive oil tonight and going to the hot tubs later? Like, they can kind of figure out all this stuff about your personality, create these ads that are very targeted, but that can be very useful for certain kinds of products. So if you have a fan page and then you're driving people to the page through the ads, now some have said, well, a lot of people on Facebook, they aren't there to click on ads, they're messing around in Farmville growing crops or whatever, and that's true, but it's a lot of it, or all of it, from what I understand, is pay-per-click. So you can go pay-per-click, and if they don't click, then fine. Now, you might not get the volume you want, but you're not risking a lot, and they're supposedly pretty cheap. So there is the advertising component, and I don't want to dismiss that because I think that probably is the one thing that Facebook really is doing very well. But let me go after this webinar a little bit, because I attended a webinar on Facebook, and again, it was the same rigmarole about how great Facebook is for small businesses, and this one, I think the people were a little more informed, but I still had some issues. One of the issues was the notion that fan pages are easy to set up. I think they're actually difficult to set up. I thought it was interesting that the feature speaker in the program later said that he could imagine running his fan page and other stuff without the use of this third-party tool from the other presenter, so he actually has to pay to use a third-party tool to actually manage leads and manage activity on the fan page. So I think that gives you some idea of some of the problems in terms of what fan pages can do if you have to literally spend third-party to get the information you need. The other thing that I noticed is that in the case of this particular presenter, they were in a field having to do with investment and insurance. And in that case, with that type of business, your personal network literally is how you build a sales network. So in that case, I really do understand why someone would be trying to leverage their personal network for that. Now, having said that, he'd also refer to some pushback he got from certain individuals, and you're going to get that because a lot of people aren't interested in finding you on Facebook for a chat and then you asking them how they're doing with their life insurance policy or whatever. But anyway, so I think when you have a business that is really dependent on that, maybe you can leverage that and get something out of it. So I think my final analysis of Facebook is not necessarily that it's bad. I have a lot of hostility towards Facebook for a lot of different reasons that I have spared you in these videos. But I'm on the site sometimes, and I even have it on my mobile phone. I wonder sometimes if I really want to get pinged on my phone every time I'm getting poked or someone's hitting me with a fluffy pillow, but I do have it on my phone, so it's there for me. I would just encourage everyone to put the hype aside and to look at it a little more selectively. And for many businesses, a fan page is one means of communication, and it works really well if you integrate it with the rest of your content strategy so that your stuff's going and getting posted to the fan page automatically. And from there, if there's a marketing budget and the ability to invest in targeted ads, I guess I can see that. But I'm still not going to change my stance that Facebook is definitely overrated for small businesses. But I think in the context of a broader strategy, it could work. So again, push the hype aside, see what works for you, and I wish you luck in your small business ventures.